the Himalayas. Namaste and good afternoon from the Himalayas. I am Sadikshya Shrestha, an executive member of HYD Nepal team and secretariat of HYD Online MUN 2020. So, to begin with, HYD is a youth based charity organization headquartered in London with its operational quarter in Bangladesh and working in Nepal, India, Australia, Canada as well. HYD's main aim is to empower today's youth to become tomorrow's leaders. One of the key programs of HYD is MUNs. Therefore, for the betterment of delegates, we bring you MUN Hack series on a regular basis with different guest mourners from across the world. I really hope you enjoyed our first episode. So today, on the second episode, we have one of the prominent chairs of Nepal with more than 70 MUNs experience. He is also the founder and president of Nepal United and head of the International Affairs Chamber as well. Let's welcome none other than Mr. Syed Aman. Hello, sir.
Hi, Sadiksha. Thank you so much for such a warm uh, intro. Thank you.
Sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. The lockdown has been pretty harsh, but then I'm holding up fine. How about you? How are you doing?
Oh, yeah, I'm also doing great. And yeah, lockdown is treating me kind of well. Okay, without any further delay, let's get started with the introduction of MUN. So, sir, can you tell us what MUN is?
What MUN is, in a nutshell, it is everything you are looking for. That's how I describe it. MUN, in definition terms, it's a simulation of the United Nations. We simulate the United Nations at the level of schools, at an academic level, where we simulate all the committees of the United Nations tackle similar problems which the United Nations tackles as well. So, doing it on a full level to involve this to have get a better thinking, and be a better global citizen.
Okay, so like we have so many MUN enthusiasts watching this live to hear your experience and also, sir, how did you end up doing MUNs?
It's a pretty funny story actually. I never planned on joining Indians. I was in, I guess, class 7 or 8, right? It was our last period. It was math period, and I would not tell his name. He was teaching us, and I was pretty bored with the class, right? And then a guy walks in the class, and he's like, "So can I make an announcement?" And then he announces that we are having this MUN club in our school. If you want to join, you can join us. And the only reason why I joined the club was I wanted to bunk the class. So I bunked the class and then I joined the MUN club in my school, modern Indian school, and then rest is history. Like I am so glad that I joined the MUN. Um, so that was how I joined it.
Okay, so like, what was the year? Like, when did you start
Um,
doing it?
what was the year? I guess 2013. I guess I was in class 7. I guess class 7. I was in class
Okay,
7.
so
I don't exactly remember the year.
it's been like more than 7 years, 7 or 6 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so how do you suggest the people to join MUNs? Like, what are the benefits of MUNs and yeah, all that? Can you tell us?
Um, yeah, I'm like, I always encourage youth to join ambience. It's one of the best ways to, improve in a lot of fields from ranging from public speaking to being a global citizen to also, having communication skills, negotiation skills. So I just introduce them to the concept of ambience. I tell them what is done in an ambience, and I really suggest them to go to an ambience and then judge it. Because no matter how of explanation we do on our part, unless and until you have not had the experience of going to an ambience, you will not understand how enthusiastic and how fun it can be. While you're just debating stances of your country. So yeah.
Oh yeah, like just you said, like debating. I got like, okay, so there are so many people who's like confused about debating and MUN. So like,
Mhm.
can you make them clear about these two topics terms?
Yeah, sure. Um, Debating and MUN are totally different concepts. I classify them as debating and diplomacy. MUN is all about diplomacy, negotiation, skills. It's also about debating. You need to have wonderful debating skills, and you also improve on this debating. Debating is basically in most formats of debating, be it British parliamentary or even world school debate. They give you a certain topic and you have to speak on that for a certain period. I guess it's 8 minutes. I used to do debating as well back then. And in MUN is totally different. Usually it's for 3 days, right? The conference itself extends for 3 days, and during the course of 3 days, you tackle a wide variety of problems from ranging from understanding the problem, getting to the know the origin of the problem, and then also trying to get the solution of the problem with respect to interest of more than 193 countries, right? So that's the whole goal of an MUN. And there is a saying which is really good. It says, if you are a diplomat, you can be a great debater. But if you are a debater, you can never be a great diplomat. So MUN teaches you debate as well as diplomacy. However, debate just confines to debating.
Okay, so it means like personally you prefer MUNs rather than
Yes,
debating.
personally. Yeah,
Okay.
personally.
Okay, so like since you have done more than 70 MUNs, so
Yeah.
our
Uh,
viewers as well as me, I'm like excited. Like we are willing to know about your like first MUN, like the exact like which committee you were in and how was the environment and all. So can you share that?
yes.
That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Why not? My first MUN was in Odisha. It was in international MUN. KIT. So I was in the international press for the first time. I was not in some specialized committee which used to work for any specialized agenda, but I was in the international press. So that was the best opportunity actually. So I've got to go to all the committees. I had to do reporting. I had to make assessments of whatever the delegates are speaking and all those things. So when I went to each and every committee, I got to know a lot of ideas. I got to see a lot of wide variety of debaters and diplomats, those who were debating, and it felt quite interesting that wow, this is really fun. So from the next time, I always join the a certain committee instead of going to the international press.
Oh, okay, sir. So, like, like talking about me, like my first time, and I started back then in 2016. So it was like I was, like it was absolute samples. I don't know what to do. I was so scared and all. But then in the
Mhm,
next 2 days, the first day was, I don't want to talk about it, but the second and the third day went very well. And yeah, I
mhm,
got the best EP position paper,
mhm.
and
Oh,
from
wonderful.
that, I got into MUNs. Otherwise, like I was like thinking like no, I would never take part in ambience and all. So yeah, that's it. And
Yeah, that
yes,
happens a lot of times.
oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So sir, what's the best thing that has happened to you in like ambience?
What's the best thing that has happened to me? Probably
Like
my academics have, yeah, probably my academics have, improved. I don't know how this happened. Like, I was a really average student when I was in, class 8, 9, and 9, 10. Till class 9, I was a really average student. And from class 9, I started getting involved in MUN quite a lot, right? And then my researching skills, right, as gradually I improved my researching skills, I even got hold of my academics. I was doing better in academics gradually in class 10, 11, and 12. So that is something which I really feel that thank God, like I thank God that I joined MUN because it also helped me improve in my academics. And externally there are a lot of things. It helped me improve my diplomatic skills, negotiation skills, how to communicate better and how to present yourself. All those things. A lot of
okay, like so okay, besides all this, like what is the most embarrassing thing that you have faced in ambience? Like you have done more than 70, so I think there's some of it. So can you share it with us?
Yeah, sure. The most embarrassing thing. Um, okay, what? Is it? Yeah. So once I was representing, I was the delegate of Ghana in DISEC. We were discussing the South China Sea dispute, right? And I was a bit. overconfident with my research. Uh, so what happened was we were discussing the issue, and then what I said was, the U.S. Navy first moved into South China Sea, and then the Chinese government took the decision of moving their navy into South China Sea and started building up artificial islands. And now I was so confident with this fact that for whole day, I kept on stating facts, numerous number of times. Even chair, he suggests like, look it up. I was like, no, I'm very confident, and I didn't give a damn to him, and I just stating the fact numerous number of times, and then I got suspended after a certain point of time. And then he's like, look it up, and then I look it up, and then I find out that China was first who moved their naval forces in the South China Sea. After that, U.S. Navy naval forces started navigating through the South China Sea. So that was something which was really embarrassing for me because even having a wrong fact, I was very certain that I was right. So, yeah,
Okay, yeah, that happens. But like, thank you for sharing it with us. Okay, so
yeah.
actually, like about the Nepali mourners, like they nowadays it's being like quite common. Every schools and colleges are organizing ambience and all. So what do you think? An institution how they can upgrade the situation of ambience in Nepal. Being a yeah,
Um,
we have shared so many ambience here in Nepal. So. Mhm.
Um, right. Regarding the Indian situation in Nepal, it's quite positive and negative as well because a lot of schools are holding ambience. It's really good that all the schools are involving themselves in such a wonderful academic activity, right? However, when so much of schools involve themselves in academic activity, the quality of ambience they tend to degrade a bit. So that's why in regards to ambience which happen in Nepal, a lot of times we see people um, caring and being on the executive board who have considerably less amount of experience. So I guess that's a that's a factor in Nepal which could be improved a lot because for an mourner who is a first timer, his his or her chair is everything because that's whom they learn from. That's whom they're going to learn everything from, right? Starting from rules of procedure to even debating skills will depend on the executive board. So a lot of times I've seen that yeah, there are chairs who have just on two onions, three onions. So in that regards, I feel that it's really important for us to maintain the quality of onions because I have personally grown a lot. Like I've grown a lot, right? And it's been something which I've always promoted, not to do MUNs. But then seeing it degrade the quality a bit, it is also saddening. So I think that improving on the days part would be something which Nepali MUN circuit can do.
Mm. So true, sir. And I'm asking you personally. So, what do you choose? Like being a deist or being a delegate? What do you
Oh,
prefer?
being delegate, it's the best thing being a delegate. Like even when I'm in the executive board, I have that feeling that no, I have to go there and be there, right? When somebody says something and you haven't counter reply for that, you get so excited like, oh, I can reply to that, I can reply to that, I can rebuttal to that. But then you're the executive board and you need to calm yourself down and then mark the delegate. But then being a delegate is always a treat because you never know what's coming your way. No disrespect to being executive board as well. It's a wonderful feeling and it's really, you feel privileged to be an executive board and it's a responsibility that you should carry out proudly. But I always choose being a delegate over a taste member.
Okay, so like most of the viewers here are like the newbies. So, what do you like to suggest to them about MUNs?
Uh, yeah. So for first timers, there's nothing which I can say which will convince you to do ambience. All I can say is do an MUN. You will get the feel, you'll get the experience yourself, and the rest will be history. Literally. Something which I didn't do in my second MUN while I was a delegate. I did not research. Please research well, otherwise you're going to make a fool out of yourself inside the committee, right? Even basic things, if you know the basic things, it's really well enough and good enough if you are a first time or if you are a beginners in Indian. So please do research, and also never be scared of speaking. That is something which is really important, because a lot of time I have seen delegates who have sent me chits with exceptionally wonderful replies, right, to a question which was asked to them, but they did not speak because they were scared of speaking. So that is something you need to get hold of. And as you gradually do ambience, you'll get hold of your fear as well.
Okay. So like what about your like friends and colleagues? Like have you made any during the ambience? Like is it one of the good part or the bad part? Mm.
Yeah, it's the best part. In fact, all of my close friends, not most of my close friends, except two or three people, are from MUN circuits. Um, like 90% of my close friends who are really close to me are comes from MUN circuit, and I have made such good relations in MUN circuit, and it's been so wide. Like I meet friends with Kamal Thapa, the president of the Royalist Party of Nepal, right?
Mm-mm.
His son,
Yeah.
I knew, yeah, his son. I came to know him from Amiens. I, know a lot of variety of people from Amiens, and that's one of the really good things. The connection you make in Amiens is really good, and it's going to last for your lifetime. The circle you make around you is going to last for a really really long time. So that is something very good.
And okay, sorry. So are you planning to organize some ambience in the near future?
Yes, I am planning to organize this one Amiens called Dias Amiens. So the name comes from Diacemin because we are gathering 30 executive board, those who are prominent and well-renowned executive board and Dias members of Nepal. We will round them off. 30 delegates. It's going to be a security council. It's just going to be one committee, and it's going to be the security council. Dual delegation. So 30 executive boards of Nepal, prominent executive board of Nepal are going to debate and show their diplomatic skills and negotiation skills at a platform. So it's going to be really wonderful, and I'm really excited about it. As soon as the lockdown ends, all the logistical part of it is going to move ahead. So hopefully, it's going to be good.
Okay, sir. Wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
I think here's a question for you. Uh, I barely research in ambience as a delegate. Can a delegate do well without a research in ambience? Okay, sir. So can you tell the like the people like they go without research and all? Some of them, So what do you like to tell?
Mhm.
Is it good like without going without research and all? Can they succeed in ambience? Can they do good?
Uh, See, if you go without a research, obviously you can succeed. If somebody is an experienced delegate, right, and you move into a committee of beginners and first timers, obviously you'll win them over. However, if you move into a committee of an experienced manners, right, regardless of even if they have 5 ME in experience and they are well researched and you are not, they are going to blow you out of the water. Research is very integral part of an MUN. Yes, you can win MUNs without researching. I have done that probably because the delegates were not so experienced. But if you have experienced bunch of delegates, there is no way that you can win them over without a research while they have a certain backing up and research which they have done. The research is really important, not just for the committee's perspective, also for you, because you get to learn a lot and you get to learn really new things. So I guess that's why researching is really important as well.
And sir, have you been to any international ambience?
Yes, I have been to international MUN
Uh,
previously.
can
I
you
have
share your experience with us? Like what's the
Yes.
difference in like doing Nepali MUNs and the international MUN?
Yeah, sure. So I went to Harvard MUN. I had the privilege to go there. And on top of that, I was in a continuous crisis committee. So the very first difference which I felt, not just in regards to what is the difference between Nepali MUNs and international MUNs, and also in general in South Asian MUNs and international MUNs, is that rules of procedure. The rules of procedure are really something which they give topmost priority to, and rules of procedure is something which is a little bit different. Their rules of procedure are really different from what we have been taught in Nepal. So that was something is which was different for me, and but then you get to learn, right? That is something which is really wonderful. So if you are going to international Indian like Howard, Yale, and all those Indians, please do extensive amount of research on your rules of procedure, because they have it a bit different, and also they are very well, well versed delegates. I mean, like, even first timers are really good. That is something which I've seen in international ambience. Even first timers are like really good, and they have really large committees, 80 delegates, 90 delegates. So if you go to international ambience where you have 80 delegates and 90 delegates, one key thing to winning is writing chits. If you write a lot of chits, you will have more probability of winning in international.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I think here's another question for you from Nishat. How we don't panic during ambience? How to start the research?
Okay, good question. So how do you start researching is the first thing which I'll tell you. So in regards to researching, so the very first thing which you need to do is to know about the agenda, right? So I would suggest you move into studying the study guide, right? Or the background guide which the executive board has made for you. You start
Mhm.
there, right? So that will give you all the basic things which you have to know regarding the agenda, right? As well as there are a few links which are stated as bibliography, right? And then you move to the second part of research. Researching can be divided in three parts, right? The first is the background guide, the study guide. The first is the background guide or the study guide, right? So background guide and study guide is where you started, right? So you know basic things about the agenda. The second part is where you move into researching with the external links which are provided in the study guide, right? So you go through all the external links and the bibliography which is provided by the executive board. And then in the third part is something which you do for in your own regard, where you start tackling, where you're seeing where are the loopholes of your country, what are the disputes which your country has been into, what are the possible solutions to the agenda or the crisis at hand. All those things should be tackled, and also being very well versed about all of the things regarding your very own country, like the national dispute, or if you have some kind of an internal problem in your country, territorial dispute in your country, the geography of your country, and also the economy of your country. That comes in very handy. And as for panicking in an Indian, so how don't you panic in an Indian? This is something which differs from each delegate, right? There can be delegates who can control themselves. There can be delegates who get anxious, right? So the key is to be very well researched, so you know most of the things which are happening in a committee, right? So even if a new thing comes up, you have it beforehand that you have already researched that part as well, so that you can tackle that. So that is something.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. There are so many things to be noted. Okay, here's another question from Dipro Pratwe. What are the top three things you want from your best delegate? I think this is the
Oh,
question you can consider and you find interesting.
yeah, it's a very interesting question. So for me, it's always diplomacy is very top priority, because MUNs are about the best diplomat in the committee, not the best debater in the. So diplomacy is something which I consider topmost, followed by their lobbying skills and negotiation skills. That is something which comes in really handy as well. That is my second consideration, and the third consideration is construction of speeches. So in MUNs, it's not like you're given 8 minutes or 9 minutes, right? So you're given 60 seconds or 90 seconds, very specified time frame, and you need to state out all your stances, and you need to make it very understandable for all of the committee. So the way you construct your speech so that you can end it in 60 seconds, right? And you can also state out all the problems or all the things which you want to state out is something which is really important. So diplomacy, negotiation and lobbying skills, and your construction of speech is something which I look in for the best delegate which I'm with.
Yes, sir. So I think there is another question. Okay, so it's from Nihil Mali. How to be as confident and as conjunct as you?
Uh, Thank you
I
for the
think they're
compliment.
becoming fan. Yeah, I think they're becoming your fan after seeing this, yeah, live. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm privileged. I'm privileged. Thank you. So, how to be confident? I guess for me, it came from gradually how many MUNs I started doing because, you know, like all of us who start MUNs at first, I was beginner and I was not good, right? That's a fact, right? But then if you gradually do MUNs and then you win, go to 3 MUNs, 4 MUNs, right? And then you build up confidence yourself. And then you know how rules of procedure work, how the committee works, on where to research, how to rebuttal, how to tackle. So when you gradually keep doing MPNs, your confidence level also goes up. And the key is to keep speaking. If you keep speaking, obviously your confidence will be high.
So true, sir. So here's a question, another question. I think it's from Akida. Most of the time, the study guide is given one day before the conference, or delegates get it late. So how to do a quick research in short time? Yeah, I think this is a very good question, sir. Can you answer it?
Oh, that's actually a very, very good question and an interesting one. So, in Nepali MUN circuit, usually what happens is we provide the study guide uh, before a week, at least, before a week. But then, yes, in a short period of time, how do you research? So, what I do is you can do it as well if you have Android or even iOS. So there are small apps, MUN apps, which come right in App Store. You can also find it in Play Store. So you can keep that in hand. You can have that downloaded, right? And these apps basically have all the information regarding all the countries, all the disputes, all the issues, drug issues, land issues, territorial disputes, all those things are already there. So these apps do come in really handy. You can also you can also download CIA fact books and all those apps. It's really comes in helpful. And regarding how you research in a short period of time is a method which I use is I research from Wikipedia a lot. However, I don't state it as my source because after every Wikipedia sentence ends, there is a number which is given to it, and there is a hyperlink to it. You click on the hyperlink, it will take you to the source where that information was found, right? So you go to those websites, the external links and references at the end of Wikipedia is given there. So you go to those websites and then you can research from there. So that is a way where how you could research, really fast.
Okay, thank you, sir. Like, I also didn't know about the apps. Now I got to know it, so I will definitely apply in my coming MUNs.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, there is another question from Deepra again. Sir, in case of continuous crisis, are we still expected to remain within our policies, considering that the crisis itself is a bridge to the normal way things to go on? Uh,
That's a really good question.
mm,
That's a really good question. So, in terms of continuous crisis committee, you need to know how to bend yourself because a lot of times the crisis back room will, bend the crisis in such a situation that you cannot, just stick to your foreign policy or your, national security policy. So, at those times, what I personally do is, if there is a situation where I have to do something very extreme, I always state myself into observational neutrality, right? If an ally, if suppose I am Russian Federation, right? and one of my closest ally, China, has attacked someone, right? That's the update of a continuous crisis committee. So at that point, I cannot support China because it's an inhuman act unless and until it is justified under the Article 51 of the UN Charter, as in self-defense act. So until and unless it's not justified under Article 51 of the UN Charter, I will hold myself as on in position of observational neutrality, right? So I'm not even bending the foreign policy of my country, right? And I'm also sticking to it, but I'm not sticking to it wholly, right? So, but regardless of how the situation demands, you need to bend in that way. So, as we suggest, be water, my friend. So, as the crisis moves forward, you need to react accordingly. So, if the crisis situation demands that you have to, as a last resort, you have to move away from your foreign policy. You can do that, but in a diplomatic way.
Mm. I think it's a really helpful answer. Okay, sir. So, like, as we all know that we are going through this deadly pandemic, and like we have to do something productive on our own, and we don't know what to do, and the people have
Mhm.
started, organizing online ambience in Nepal
Yeah.
as well as in international sector. So, what do you think? Is it like online ambience can, like can be beneficial to the mooners?
Certainly, yes. Online MPN is something which can benefit all the mothers, even first timers. Um, I think it's an advantage for first timers because you are not physically present, right? You're
Mm.
virtually present. So there is, a little less fear that, if I speak something and something goes wrong, I'll be embarrassed in front of the committee. There's less chances of that in virtual MPNs. And this is also really a lot of free time with us, right? And if we are, putting our free time into doing something really productive, like doing MPNs, right? So if you do ambience, it's not just that your research which you gain knowledge about, right? The research on my part is not the only thing which I gain knowledge about. I also gain knowledge about a lot of things. Those things include a variety of things. Like if we have a committee of 15 delegates, I also get to know about the research of 15 delegates and get 15 different perspectives on a similar idea, on a single idea, or a single crisis, right? So this is something which could be really taught, and you're also taught how not to look at situation just from your shoes, but also from a shoes of a third person. That is something which is really good about digital and in this time of
Okay.
quarantining and self.
Thank you so much. Uh, and so like going back to the again your immune experiences. So like
Mhm.
I like you must have so many like committees who are like the delegates were not active enough, and you were a
Mhm.
dias member and you don't know what to do. So how, if that was the situation, then how would you handle it? Like they
So
all the
yes,
delegates were assigned.
yes. So in terms of how I deal with first timers and the delegates, those who don't speak, right? So there is two parts to it. First part is if the delegate is not confident in speaking, right? So for that, usually if I'm in a beginners committee, I'll do a mock session for 30 minutes where we talk about really general agendas, right? It can be ice cream versus cake, or it can be relationship versus so all these agendas which are really general and everybody has basic knowledge about, so that they gain confidence in speaking, right? And the second part is when the delegate is not researched enough. So when the delegate is not researched enough, I'll use the first half of the committee to explain as much as I can in regards to the agenda and in perspective of each country as well. And then I'll also help them with possible moderated caucuses, that these are the things that we can focus upon. So confine your research towards these topics only, so that they research in a very specific regard, so that they build confidence when they come and speak next time.
Sir, like I feel so privileged to like conversating with you, because I honestly think that you are a very good mourner, because the things are the way you are explaining things, and you are you handle it like it's impressive.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. There is another question from Nihil Mali. What knack is a necessity for being a persuasive speaker?
What is necessary? One of the first things which is very necessary is to be understanding, right? You need to understand others' point as well. So if you read books about persuasion by Aristotle or Plato or all those renowned writers, they say that you need to always agree at some point, right? Even if you have differences, you need to agree at a some similar point, and then you need to take yourself forward, and then you need to be convincing enough. Now, how to be convincing enough is a question which yet again falls under being understandable, right? So a lot of time in an ambient, what happens is the delegates have exceptionally well built speeches. They will do everything there is to do in a committee. They'll be really good. However, they won't be able to persuade other delegates because other delegates are not being able to understand what the delegate is trying to convey. So the first thing which comes when you're trying to persuade anyone to come on board with your idea is to be understanding, and is to make them understand what your point is and what your point of view is. So agreeing on a thing, right? That is the first basis. And secondly, being understanding enough to their point as well, and conveying your point in such a way that they understand your point as well. It's something how you could
Yeah,
persuade people.
so true, sir. I think there is another question. Do you from Hamim? Yes. Do you think instant research during committee session is effective?
Instant research during comedy session, it is effective. It is effective. I'll tell you a short story. So during my one of my avians, which was in Security Council, I was representing Somalia. So I was speaking a lot. So what the chair did is, during the crisis, what the chair did is, the chair bombed my parliament, right? Bombed my parliament while a meeting was going on. So all the leaders of the country were dead. So basically, that meant that I could not speak anymore, because there is no way that I'm getting message from my country. So I excused myself. I moved out of the committee, and then I just googled, right? Somalia president. Who was it? I wanted to know. So incidentally, the president of Somalia was in tour in Turkey. I never knew that, right? So he was
Okay.
on a trade tour in Turkey. So that means that I'm getting information from Turkey now, because my president is in Turkey. So this was an instant research which helped me, and I got my speaking rights back inside the company. So instant research do help, but then you need to be careful of, you need to be really specific of where you are targeting to do your research.
That was a really impressive tactic, sir. Okay, I think we are at the end of the session. So, sir, is there anything? Okay, sir, I think we have another question. They have so much queries for you, like because you are obviously one of the prominent chairs. Okay, sir, give us the best trick as a love skill that you yourself used as a delegate from Dipro Pratoy. Yes.
Okay. So one of the things which I use while lobbying, so one thing which you can use while lobbying is, that happens during formal session, not informal session. During formal session, if you construct your speeches well, and if you are really good at conveying your message, if you are really good at conveying your message, it will be a lot more easier for delegates during informal session to gravitate towards you. Like, if I have seen this a lot of time, even while chairing, if there is one delegate who is really good, right, and as soon as we move into informal session for lobbying, all the delegates will move to that delegate's place, because he was such good in his points as well. He's very clear with what his stances are, and he can very well defend himself and construct good speeches. So that is the first thing which you need to keep in mind. Your formal speeches have to be good. If your formal speeches are good, delegates will be attracted towards you by themselves. And in terms of how it in terms of informal session, at that point, what you can do is listen to everyone, because you don't want to be the delegate who just keeps on telling his point or her point, right? and does not listen to all the other delegates. Nobody in an ambient would like to work with someone like that. However, if you listen to everyone's point and give them a chance to speak, that is something which can come in very handy while lobbying.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I think there are so many MUN enthusiasts. We have another question from Akida. Sir,
Mhm.
for online MUN, how to choose relevant MOD more topics, dividing the elaborate agenda for the short time committee session?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Okay, so in digital ambience in Nepal, what we do is, so if our community sessions are starting from tomorrow, we will have a mock session, right? Or we will have a lobbying session one day before, right? Which is of only 1 hour, right? So in that 1 hour, the chair will tell you what the chair is expecting from the committee, and he'll also tell you guys to lobby around and discuss what are the things you want to discuss in an ambient, right? Because since at a digital platform, it's really it's an hindrance to communicate on a personal level face to face. So that's why we have this pre-session lobbying session, right, in which all the delegates discuss that what are the things they specifically want to target. So if beforehand you can talk to the delegates of your committee via group chat or even a video call, and then you can see that these are the important things that the committee needs to discuss upon, and also listen to what they think is important to discussion during the committee session, so you can designate that these are the things which are important during a moderated caucus, and these are the topics which we need to discuss under our moderated caucus.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So are there any queries? Okay, yes, we have another one from Deepro. What are the three things if even potential delegates miss in a committee?
Three things potential delegates miss in a committee. The first one has to be just um, this is a mistake that I've seen a lot. You know, I have seen delegates win committees based on chits, just based on chits. So it's something which is really important. First thing is don't miss out on chits, right? Second thing is never leave your diplomatic game, right? That is something which is really important. Never leave your diplomatic game. You have to stick true to your foreign policies and your agendas. The third thing is never lose hope. I'll tell you a story yet again. So what happened was I was in the same it was in Dissect, right? Well, while I was representing Ghana, right? So
Mhm.
what happened was I was considerably a good delegate. So I was in support of China the whole time because Ghana does not have an official stance on South China Sea. So that's why I was in support of China so that I get more number of times to speak. And rest of the committee was against the both of us, and we were doing pretty good for the first 2 days. And during just before lunch break of the second, no, sir, just before lunch break of the third day, the delegate pulled out of UN clause, UNCLOS. It's the mandate which guards the law of the sea of the UN, right? So all the historical claims of China, it went into the water. Now China did not have any historical claims over the South China Sea. So, and both me and China, we got really heavily negatively marked in the committee, right? So much so that the chair even told me that there is very slim chances that you guys will win now. So, and I was really skeptic. Like, I was researching from really long time, and I really wanted to win. So what I did was I went outside the committee, and then I took a few deep breaths, and then I thought of a strategy. And I thought of it. I went back to the committee since it was the third day. We had to write the resolution. So what I told other delegates was, see, I'm not winning anyways. I'll write you guys the resolution, and then you guys be the authors or the sponsors of the resolution. I don't want to be the author or the sponsor. And then I wrote the resolution for them, and then it was a 13-point resolution, right? And I did not become the author or the sponsor. I just became a signatory, and they presented the resolution in front of the committee. So since I wrote the resolution, I was really smart. I left loopholes in all the points which I had wrote down, right? So I amended 6 clauses of the resolution, and the
Mm.
resolution failed. So if you amend a resolution, you get really heavy marking. Like if you suggest one amendment to a resolution, you get 5 marks, 6 marks. So it was really good. So I amended 6 clauses, and at the end of the day, I won high commendation. I did not even have a chance of winning, verbal mention as the honorable executive board was telling me, but I won the high commendation because I amended so many points of the resolution. So that is something. Not losing hope in the committee is something very important, and you can do it.
Okay, so that was actually a smart trick. Okay,
Yeah.
sir. We have another query from Akida. Sir, for online MUN, how to choose relevant more topics? I think it's already been answered, I guess. Mm-mm. From Akida. Yeah, general tricks to raise amendments from DR.
Yeah. Okay. So, in regards to the draft resolution, general tricks, please also keep in mind that your resolution is a one big sentence, and there can be no full stop in between, right? So, a lot of the time, delegate also miss out this, and they put in full stop in a resolution. So, in a draft resolution. So, during the draft resolution, full name of your country is something which full name of all the countries which should be taken into consideration. There's something also that talking about full stop. You can also check in where is the full stop. Are they missing out on full stop? Are they missing out on having the official name of the country? And also, you can look at vague points which does not really make sense, right? So you can raise an error of you can raise an amendment for omission or error as well. So if you keep small things in mind, you just go through the resolution, and wherever you find it vague, something which is not very specific, right?
Mhm.
Because we have a lot of trend even in Nepal. To solve a crisis, they'll form a sub body, sub body under the body. Now they'll not specify what the body will do, under what mandate will the body work, who will fund the body. All those things are really important. If you keep those things in mind, you can always have a head start in amending resolution.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It was really helpful. We have another question from Nihil Mali. What's your opinions for being a qualified DAS member?
Okay, yes. This is something. What's my opinion in regards to being in qualified DIAS members? First of all, you need to have an adequate amount of experience in terms of being a delegate. At least eight, nine 8, 9 experiences as a delegate, right? After that, moving into the executive board, where you are the director, the lowest position of the executive board, the director, right? So you get to learn from your chair and your vice chair, right? And then you move to 2, 3 MUNs in an experience of a director, and then you move towards being the vice chair for some time, which can be again 1, 2 MUNs as vice chair, and then where you ask yourself this question that if I was a delegate, would I like a chair who is me? Would I want to see myself as chairing if I am the delegate? And if you think that if you think that you are satisfied, yes, you think you are capable enough to be a chair, or be in the executive board, you can certainly be that. That is the basic general things which I think qualifies a day member.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Sir, here's another question from Ram Shankar. Sir, for online MUN, how to raise the motion on the favor or against the delegates instead of raising the placard?
Motion. Okay. So yeah, so it depends on the app you are using, right? So likewise in MUNs in Nepal, we generally use the Zoom app, right? So in Zoom app, we have a feature called raise hand feature. So the raise hand feature is something which is in the bottom left corner, right? So you can always raise your hand if you have to raise a motion, and the host of the conference will see that you are raising your hand. Now he'll recognize you and then he'll ask, yes, delegate, at what point do you rise, so that you can raise your motion in favor or against it in that.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Okay, so honorable viewers, are there any queries for our guest? Yeah, I think we're at the end of the session. So, sorry, is there anything you want to say to our viewers or the delegates in HYD Online MUN, which is going to be happening in 15th to 17th May, which is also online? So, do you have to say something? Do you want
Um,
to?
yes. Uh, Yeah, sure. I would like to say HYD is a wonderful platform to be on. I've heard a lot about HYD, and it's a very renowned organization with a lot of opportunity. So it's a really good time for you to associate yourself with HYD. And also, best of luck to all the mothers, all the first timers. And this is something which I heard in Sadiksha, your avian, Chelsea avian.
Uh,
Ashutosh Dai said this, don't make this Avian your last Avian. So I'd like to suggest the same thing. Don't make this Avian your last Avian. Avians are a wonderful platform to grow. I have seen myself grow from being an average student to being really good in academics, and to also, standing up for myself. I've seen a lot of changes, positive changes, right? So I'm really happy for you guys that you chose HYD. It's an amazing platform, and hope to see you guys soon. Research well, and you at the conference.
okay, thank you so much, sir. So, I think there is a notable question from Prayash Tiwari. He says, position paper tips.
Mhm.
So, yeah, can you share some tips for the position papers?
So, on Prayas, uh,
Mhm.
Prayas, he's a really good friend of mine. Sitting in Germany, he's asking me questions. Prayas is also one of the best MPNers in Nepal, guys, by the way. So it's quite ironic he's asking me for tips for position people. But then still, tips for
Maybe
position
he
people.
wants, maybe he
So
wants
the
to
very first
become
thing is
better. Uh,
he's already really good. In fact, he
uh,
must be the best. So, in terms of your position paper, so the very first thing is following the format of the position paper is something which is really important, right? Please always talk to your executive board in regards to what is the format that they prefer, because I've seen it a lot of time that different chairs prefer different format of the position paper. So something which you can work upon is the format which format of your position paper which your chair prefers. Now, secondly, please limit your position paper to at maximum 1.5 pages. Okay, and also keep your position paper of 3 paragraphs. Now, the first paragraph, you can talk about the origin of the agenda of the crisis, how the crisis came into play, a little bit about history, and a little bit about what is happening with the agenda. The second paragraph, you can talk about how the agenda has been affecting your country, right? So how the agenda is affecting your country, what are the economic deficits which are happening due to the crisis at hand or the agenda at hand. You can talk about those things. And in the third paragraph, you can talk about all the policies, right, which your country has taken, and all the solutions which your country has to offer in regards to the agenda. So these are the 3 paragraphs you should focus upon. And lastly, you should also mention bibliography, which is where are all the points which you found from, right? So whether the which are the websites which you found your information from. So all these things could be included, which will make your position paper better.
okay, thank you so much, sir. Okay, sir, thank you so much for giving your time. I had a great time conversating with you. Also, our viewers, they must have, really learned everything you have said. So, yes, thank you so much for giving your time.
Thank
I
you
wish
so
to,
much for having me.
yeah, HYD
Thank
will
you. Thank you
will
so much.
love to have you as a DS member in the near future as well.
I am privileged to be a part of HYD, and being a part of the executive board in this union comes as a privilege. Thank you so much for associating with me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much,
Thank
viewers. So we are going to end this live. Thank you.